Hello, everybody. My name's True Demon, and I'm the Devil Stockbroker. We got a lot to talk about today about BBIG, ticker symbol for Vinco Ventures Incorporated. First, we're going to go over some of the TA and figure out where we are as far as our stock chart and price situation. Currently, BBIG is trading at approximately 54 cents per share, breaking down below all of its previous lows. The situation, as far as the price, doesn't look good. Right now, we're still waiting to see a response from the executive team as to when they are going to have their compliance settled. BBIG has been out of compliance for a long period of time between their lack of 10Q filings, as well as missed earnings reports, and obviously a price that has been below $1 for quite some time. Focusing squarely on the daily chart, we see that the entire stock has been trading in this massive triangle, just a huge pyramid going up on ascending resistance and then coming down harshly on descending resistance. And since January has formed a descending wedge that we broke out of to the upside very weakly in October and have since fallen back down. It's not unusual for stocks to break out of descending wedges, which are typically bullish reversal signals, but it is just as common for them to retest the top of the wedge before actually springing back and going on to make its full measured move. As far as financials go, obviously there's been no updates from the executive team, so we don't know what is actually happening or what the financial situation is for the company. And this is adding to their financial woes and their NASDAQ non-compliance status. I want to bring your attention to a couple of different technicals that may not be looked at very often. This chart down here is the volume direction candles, which is essentially a modified on-balance volume. What this does is it adds up volume on days where the close is above the previous close, and it subtracts volume from the chart when the close is below the previous day's close. The purpose of this is to measure what volume flow looks like and what the balance is of where bulls versus bears sit in terms of the amount of volume. Typically, when you start to see this moving up very sharply, obviously you have some very good price action, and a lot of people are buying at the same time. When you see it moving down very sharply, then that usually indicates a lot of selling with high volume, and that brings the balance down. With BBIG, however, there's this very unusual plateauing effect that happens during down volume. Notice the massive decrease from here to here, but the on-balance volume is basically flat. This is actually known as a plateau on OBV, and I consider it the same with the volume direction candles. You'll also notice these moving average lines. The yellow one is a fast moving average, and the orange is a slow one. And what we've seen is that when these moving averages converge very close together, and specifically when the volume direction candles begin to consolidate just below this level, BBIG likes to pop at those exact moments. And there's been these consistent moves over time whenever BBIG trades below these levels. We've just now had a big cut below here. And you'll notice, if you look very closely on the price chart, every time that we have had this sharp cut below that moving average, there's been significant price action that followed right after that. So now we're in this area where we must be cautious and start to look very closely at any signs for a potential move to the upside. A lot of people get really shaken out during these times, and it happened to me, although it was against my will when I got margin called back in, I believe it was November or October of 2021. But I did get margin called, and people like to bring that up, but, it's not exactly my choice. Anyway, as far as BBIG's situation, I'm looking at the on-balance volume and volume direction candles very closely, and this consistent pattern of cutting down below and consolidating and then breaking back out towards the top above this moving average is a consistent sign of incoming price volatility. So now that we have had this sign begin to appear again, what we're waiting for is for the volume direction candles to create a tiny cup and then come back up. And then on that signal where it touches that moving average line, that is a buy signal. We've been seeing it happen quite a lot in the last couple of days. If you notice that on the daily, we've been trading below this level for some time, and the price has been in decline ever since the 1st of November. Volume direction candles have been more or less flat, but slowly trickling downward. This is a slow bleed-off effect that can only be really explained by algorithms that trade on behalf of quantitative trading firms or market makers. I've explained this in many of my videos in the past, but since it's been a long time, there's a lot of you who are new here. I feel it's worth explaining again that algorithms love to push prices down during low volume periods because it's very easy for them to attack the bid. If you were to look at an order book and you saw that you had all of the asking prices up here, when we're talking about squeezing a stock, a lot of people talk about attacking the ask. What does that mean? It means that you buy above the market price, because when you buy above market price, you have to fill orders that are at market price, and that slowly pushes the price upward. If there's 5,000 shares down here at 54.18, and then there's another 5,000 shares at 54.22, and there's nothing in between, then if you buy 10,000 shares at market price, air quotes, or at 54.22, then you buy the 10,000 shares, but the price immediately jumps from 54.18 all the way up to 54.22, because that is what the last agreed upon trade occurs at, because it fills all of the share orders between here and here. Well, for shorts, it's the same way. When you sell, you are selling to the bidder. You are selling to buyers who are setting a bid price. So when you are an algorithm that is trying to drive the price down, you can wait for low volume periods of the day and push the price down where there's only 100 shares here, 50 shares down here, another 100 shares down here, and then just hit the bid repeatedly with hundreds and thousands of shares, driving the price down very quickly. But you can't do it too quickly, because when the price shoots down that fast, algorithms that are competing with you can spot that volatility, and they can take advantage and then set a buy price, dropping their bid all the way to the bottom, and then taking those shares, which they may believe that the algorithm is intending to buy back at a cheaper price. And you could say that this is market manipulation, but regardless, it's what happens in the market, so it's what we have to deal with. So the fact that we see the price in BBIG declining so rapidly on a daily basis, and yet the volume hasn't moved at all. We've only had, on a daily basis, let's actually count the volume for the last several days. We had 4.179 million so far today, and BBIG is down 7.9%. The day before, BBIG dropped 6%, and the volume was only 6.78 million. The day before that, 7.2 million, and BBIG's price is down 7.69%. This repeated dropping in price on low volume, and notice that the volume is no different. Going all the way back to September, the volume is barely moved. We haven't traded a single day above 10 million except here and here. There's very few exceptions here, and this is very low volume for BBIG because this is actually quite a large float stock. The stock has a float of 210.33 million shares available in the market. So I've been seeing a lot of people asking me, like, is BBIG done? No, BBIG is not done. Your emotions are being played with, and that's what I sent this tweet about. Now, I want to clarify this tweet because a lot of people got really mad at me for saying this, and I stand by what I said, but y'all need to understand what I mean. If you think that BBIG is done only because the share price is going down, then this is the reason why the market has been eating you alive since you started. I say this not to attack anybody, but to make you aware that you are the victim of manipulation, both market manipulation and psychological manipulation. Anytime a stock is being targeted, It's being targeted by institutions that have access to quantitative trading strategies and massive supercomputers and AI algorithms. They are trained specifically to prey upon retail investors. This is why everybody is trading on a zero commission broker, because you're the target. You are the source of liquidity, and you need to not think like a sheep that's being brought to slaughter. That's what keeps happening here. And this is why I started Hell's Trading Floor, so that people could actually start looking objectively at what's happening to a stock and make a trading decision and not get sucked into the trap that allows them to be targeted by big institutions. And this does not just apply to BBIG or meme stocks. This is about people that follow pure hype in any ticker, any stock, any company, and never learn how to do fundamental or technical analysis. If you strictly rely on hype from Twitter, then you are nothing more than exit liquidity. The manipulators in this market rely on your emotional decision making to enter and exit their positions. Don't be a sheep. Stop listening to stock twits and Twitter hype. Start learning how to trade independently. This is a really important thing that I want to really share with everybody, because my message is really being distorted. I'm not trying to get down on people because they've lost. I've lost. I've been manipulated. I have made mistakes. But there are some people that can see through the bullshit and are willing to actually go and do the hard thing and go against what their instincts tell them and not allow them to give into the fear response. And this brings me to the tweet made by Erik Finman, where he shared with us his letter that he sent to the Vinco Ventures board of directors. Quote, Erik Finman, this is my letter to the BBIG board. You have 72 hours to remove Ross J. Miller and Gabe Hunterton. Otherwise, I have the necessary 67% of shareholders' votes to remove them and install myself as CEO. Ultimatum is up, and we demand action. Dear Vinco Board of Directors, I'm writing you today to bring to your attention some problems that shareholders in Vinco Ventures have made heard in the community and possible solutions on how to fix them and go forward. First of all, Vinco Ventures has absolutely incredible potential. All of the elements are there for an incredibly successful company. Many are proud to call themselves a Vinco Ventures shareholder, yet there's been much dissatisfaction about any lack of updates on earnings, a merger, updates to LIABLE, and just lack of any press at all about what Vinco Ventures is doing. The management of Vinco Ventures should be setting the pace for updates, not having to be dragged into it kicking and screaming. Many people have blamed this absolute lack of any concrete progress squarely on Gabe Hunterton and Ross Miller. According to public court documents, they're collectively receiving $115,000 a month to be the court-appointed president and CEO of Vinco Ventures. Let me say that again. They are collectively receiving $115,000 a month to be court-appointed president and CEO of Vinco Ventures. What have Vinco Ventures shareholders gotten for what is someone's annual salary every month? The stock price continually remaining under $1. Constant NASDAQ deficiency notices for noncompliance. No updates on merging the remaining 40% of LIABLE into Vinco Ventures. No Q2 or Q3 earnings reports. No collaboration on updates for LIABLE, and no subsequent media tour during a vital time for such a product. And I'll add to Erik's message here, specifically about the banned TikTok movement that is now sweeping the nation, where everybody is looking for a new form of short-form content, which is exactly what LIABLE is. This isn't just a massive marketing opportunity. This is a massive business opportunity that is only going to come once. And already, Vinco's competitors are taking advantage, where you see YouTube pushing their short-form content on their platform. Vinco needs to be doing the exact same thing. For $115,000 a month, Vinco Ventures shareholders deserve better. It seems Ross Miller and Gabe Hunterton are more interested in using Vinco Ventures' $115,000 a month as their personal piggy bank rather than working as hard as possible on behalf of Vinco Ventures. Many are saying this is abuse and that Gabe Hunterton and Ross Miller have commandeered a good company. This is unacceptable. And if the board does not take action in the next 72 hours, I have the necessary 67% shareholder vote threshold under Nevada state law to remove Gabe Hunterton and Ross Miller as president and CEO of Vinco Ventures. In addition to that, I have the necessary threshold for shareholder votes to install myself as CEO or co-CEO of the Vinco Ventures in order to fix the aforementioned problems and to build upon that to make this company one of the hottest companies of the decade. I have left the Zash CEO position, so there is clearly no conflict of interest in me becoming CEO or co-CEO. In conclusion, I am calling on the Vinco Ventures Board of Directors to remove Gabe Hunterton and Ross Miller as President and CEO of Vinco Ventures due to their seeming lack of any major progress since they had been allowed on. If not, I have the votes to remove them and install myself. And hopefully that's all I would have to do. Sincerely yours, Erik Finman. Now, I'm not really in a position to argue with Erik's methods, but one thing that I will say is that it is a gutsy move to stand up against these guys that are running the company right now, and who, in my opinion, still have not really done anything. It is my opinion that they really haven't made any changes. Because the fact remains, and Erik pointed this out, that there has been no updates on earnings or what their plan is to get back into compliance. And if their answer is that they're going to reverse split the hell out of the stock, that's incredibly stupid because there's no reason to do that. There are plenty of assets in the form of intellectual property and plenty of marketing opportunities for Vinco Ventures to actually turn the ship around very quickly. And at the very least, I do agree with Erik that there is massive potential with the banned TikTok movement for Lomotive to become the platform of choice. All that needs to happen is for the opportunity to be seized by the company, and it is not being seized. This opportunity is being wasted with a very silent company that has been only cutting staff, which may or may not be necessary given the financials of the company. It's very possible that they've been bleeding cash to the point where it's dangerous for them. But nevertheless, there has to be some push for marketing because that is how this company thrives. That is the blood of Vinco Ventures. If it does not have marketing content going out constantly, then it is going to suffocate. This situation is urgent, and something has to be done very quickly. And I think that Erik is just as frustrated as all of us. I know that if I had the power and the experience to go and lead a company, I would do the same thing. I would take charge of this myself. I think the fact is that we have to really acknowledge where Ross Miller and Gabe Hunterton's experience lie. Gabe Hunterton, he ran companies that were in the gaming industry, specifically geared towards gambling. Ross Miller, he's a politician, county commissioner. Whether or not he has any business experience, neither one of them have the business experience for this exact industry. And I don't really have any faith that they have the ability to take advantage of the power that Lomotive and Vinco Ventures have in their tool belt to actually leverage this company to become successful. At least not quickly enough to save it in this current situation. But one thing remains true is that everybody that is in this group, everyone that's in this community that I have noticed has been paying attention to the technicals. OBV plateauing. Thanks, Aaron. Big shout out to you for looking at this and just pointing out the technical situation. The guys in this community are incredibly intelligent, and Aaron, I especially want to thank because he's been watching this Darkpool volume chart and paying really close attention to the exchange volume for BBIG, trying to make connections for what's actually causing the decline in price action and what might tip us off to when positive price action could actually come back. And this, I really do think there's a connection here. Like, it's basically happened almost every single time that when Darkpool volume took a nosedive off a cliff, suddenly the price started running, and then once the Darkpool volume came back above 70-80% of all exchange volume, then the price goes back into decline again. And it's just because the national best bid and offer is finally experiencing real price discovery for the first time because the volume isn't being redirected to market maker internalizers and alternative trading systems that don't expose their price action to the national best bid and offer. And other guys too, like the Niz and the Wall Street Custodian, that are constantly covering and digging into the story and the connections between Susquehanna and BBIG and TikTok. Like all of this stuff, the combined investigative and analytical power of the community is what gives it its strength. So I want to take the time to really shout out and
give props to these guys who have been here since the beginning, that are still here despite all the ridicule and all the anger that's being levered at them, just to get under their skin and just to try and push them out because people are mad that the stock doesn't do what they want. Believe me, I would love to see BBIG run too, but we have to look at the objective facts that there's a lot of institutions that are obviously betting against us, and this chart communicates part of that story. Frankly, from where I'm sitting, the company is just such a frickin' circus and a clown show. And now we have the Vinco Ventures team fighting back, wasting lawyers and using lawyers' fees to go and fight Erik for everything that he says on Twitter. What I find so disingenuous about this whole thing is that they choose in this letter specifically to mention for the first time the last 2 months that they engaged in an agreement with Ancora Consulting for CFO services. 2 months have gone by, and these CFO services that are supposedly a professional consulting group haven't even turned over an earnings spreadsheet. Like they've turned over nothing. Where are the updates? Where's the information? Why is there nothing being done? Why is there no PR? Why is there no media outreach? These are the frustrations that Erik is feeling, and I agree with them. Why wouldn't you be upset with the lack of communication? This is exactly the problem that BBIG shareholders have had since the beginning with the company's executives. Ted Farnsworth and Lisa King, they said nothing to anybody. Now we have Gabe Hunterton and Ross Miller saying nothing, just being dead silent. And if this was a quiet period for a merger, then fine, but that doesn't mean that you can't announce progress on the earnings reports. That can still be done. This is actually materially important to the success of the company. And every single week that we aren't making progress towards that passes, we're watching more and more options expire worthless. We're watching more and more people's money bleed away as institutions prey on the weakness of the stock and continue to short it into the dirt. For the last several months, this stock's been getting the absolute beat out of it by shorts that keep jumping in and out of their positions, just waiting for the next piece of bad news to give them an opportunity to cash out. And then they wait for the quiet period while everybody tries to go and pick the pieces up. And then all of a sudden, another piece of bad news comes in. And of course, shorts know ahead of time, like right here back on October 28th, right before the deficiency notice came for BBIG. Then, of course, as soon as that deficiency notice came, bam, the whole thing got punched in the teeth, and everybody is starting to watch their portfolios bleed away by about 50%. All the while, the executives are doing absolutely all. Like, do y'all even see the security lending volume? Whenever it spikes like this, these giant humps in it, it's getting absolutely beat to hell, and it's always surrounding bad news or whenever the executives go in this long period of silence doing absolutely nothing to inspire confidence from shareholders or to even let them know what the hell is going on with the company so that they can actually make an informed decision. You've got everybody operating here on faith, putting their money into this company that isn't fucking doing anything. Why are the executives so quiet? I don't understand. I've never seen any other company that has been so quiet from the top in the face of so much difficulty. Companies that I've covered in the past, like Biora and SPRT, AMC, they all communicated regularly with their shareholders, issuing 8K filings and statements that would inspire confidence in their shareholders. But in the last several months, since we got out of those court hearings where they said, yay, we're in control now and everything's going to be great, they had a big burst of filings that all came out at the same time, and then months of silence. Absolutely nothing happening. It's unacceptable. I don't know if Erik Finman is the right choice for this, but I know that the executives that are in control that aren't going to actually communicate with shareholders or start driving marketing content to get people on the Lomotive platform and monetizing their fucking platform that they spent all those millions of dollars on is wasted time. It's all wasted time and money. Stop fucking around. Stop wasting time. Whoever the hell's in charge. I don't care, but don't waste any more time. We've been in this for a year, watching this portfolio just go down, 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 down constantly. Some of us were in here since $10, and you're doing nothing but just watching the money just bleed away. And then you're taking it on top of it. Like, I can appreciate that this is expensive work, that consulting services are expensive, but for f***'s sake, what are y'all doing? Why so silent? I'm glad that Erik Finman put himself out in front of the crowd. Even if it's, ballsy or dangerous, at least he is up there saying something that we're all thinking. And at least he has the power and the reach and the voice to actually throw some weight behind his words. I want nothing more than to see this company succeed, but for f***'s sake. All I know is that if BBIG doesn't get its 2 earnings reports out, a merger done, and start pumping out PR like a machine in the next several months, this company is dead. Like, y'all need to do something. If you're not putting out information, if you are not reaching out, and if you are not inspiring people to join your platform, you are wasting time, and you are not a friend to the shareholders of BBIG. As for Erik's statement that he has the 67% of shareholder votes, I don't know where he got them from. I hope that this is a factual statement, because if it's not, then it is stock manipulation. But assuming that this is a 100% truthful statement, then go for it. Because at this point, nothing's been done from the Vinco side. And I know for a fact that Erik's hands had been tied, being the Zash CEO. He had no authority or control to make any business decisions for Vinco. It all had to be the president and CEO's job of Vinco Ventures to effect the merger and get their earnings done. If nothing is being done on that end, then there is nothing that Erik could do, regardless of his position at Zash. It was not in his control from the beginning. And I don't think that a lot of people appreciate it. Erik never worked for Vinco. He didn't have control of Vinco. He had control of Zash, and everything on the Zash side, he said repeatedly, was ready. So it all comes down to this. I'm going to cautiously and patiently wait for things to suddenly turn around, to start putting out news that will be positive to shareholders. But it's going to take some balls of steel and some serious faith in order to hold on to this, because right now I see how painful it is, and I'm right there with you. I'm holding on to what I have. I'm not letting go. It's not I'm not a multimillionaire. I don't have, an unlimited supply of money to just throw at this but I'm right there with you all. Don't let the manipulators take advantage and push you out and inspire you to sell just because that's what they want you to do. They want to take your money. They want your selling to be part of the drop. It only helps shorts. I'll be sure to continue covering this as much as I possibly can. I want to thank you for sticking with me for this video. I know it was a long one, but thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, but until then, have a hell of a time in the markets. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to watch this video. If you enjoyed the content and you found this information helpful to you in your own trading strategies, be sure to leave a like on the video. It helps out the YouTube algorithm and helps us reach out to others who need this information too. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're not a member of Hell's Trading Floor already, consider joining our Discord by joining us at hellstradingfloor.com, which will allow you to sign up for our Discord at discord.gg/hellstradingfloor. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, have a hell of a time in the markets.